And we're back after a long hiatus. Welcome back to all the Milanisti. Let me just check that the sound is working as I want it to. I'm a little quiet, so I'll boost myself up. We're back. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, Aussie. Brand new season. It's been a long summer.
It has been, yeah. I can't remember the last time we did this, whatever the last game was. May sometime when it was a bit of a couple of dead games. But yeah, it's nice to be back.
It's nice to be back and to talk about games that actually matter. As you said last, we wrapped up with a few games after we went out of Champions League that really didn't matter. We weren't going to compete for the league. We weren't going to compete in Europe. Although probably a little bit of a better start than we would have hoped for. But nevertheless, the boys are back. How has been? Let's talk first about the summer. Maybe actually our summer window, which isn't closed yet. We'll talk about some deals that could potentially be trickling in. What do you think of our general
Yep.
approach? We had. It felt like a very long summer. It almost feels like two transfer windows that we had. First, looking for our manager. Um, uh, some
Yeah.
names that were dropped, whether real or fake. A little rebellion from the fans. A new name landed. Then we for sure got our new striker in Zirkzee, and then it wasn't Zirkzee. What do you think? Give me a little wrap up of the transfer window for you.
Yeah, if I'm gonna grade it from F to A, obviously A being the highest, I would say it's like a C plus, B minus. Not great, not terrible, definitely okay. And yeah, like you said, a bit of a circus with the manager. I think last season we were talking about this. Pioli was going to leave, of course, but that we sort of sorted out the manager earlier on. And I guess it was kind of early. I think when I can't remember when it was officially Fonseca was official, but I think it was quite early in June. Um, yeah, you mentioned Xerxes. That's a bummer, to be honest. I was very much looking forward for him to join us, but that agent fee of 50 million euros, those Premier League clubs don't care whatsoever about that and just go ahead and pay it. Really disappointed because he seemed like Xerxes himself was pushing it. Other than that, yeah, the signing of Morata, our new number nine, well, number seven technically, but you know what I mean. Um, it's sort of untested. We'll see how that goes. Emerson
Mm-hmm.
Royale, not fantastic of a signing, I think, for now, but I'm not going to hate on him because Serie A and Premier League are very different. Maybe he's realized that this is his, I shouldn't say last chance to be at a big club, but I think he was quite disappointed with how his spell at Spurs went. He seems like quite an energetic character. Maybe it's good for the locker room. I'm not sure. Pavlovic as well, don't know too much about him. Obviously, I think we've played against him. Lautaro Martinez seemed to have struggled against him at Salzburg, um, so that's a positive for our derbies. But yeah, overall, like a C plus B minus.
Yeah, no.
What do you think?
Overall, I would agree. I was a little bit worried when we first came in because I don't even mind settling for some of the decisions. I think anyone could admit, even the people that like Fonseca and what he did at Lille, which was nice, anyone can admit that. Okay, this is not this is not a Klopp level signing. Same with Morata, same with Pavlovic, same with um, Emerson Royal. What really worried me was the lack of planning. It seemed like we were grasping at straws a little bit. Because if you say, hey, look, we don't have the money for a top tier young striker, we go for Alvaro Morata. He plays well in our system. He's a player that can play well the ball. We know that our main firepower comes from Leao, comes from Pulisic, comes from Chukwueze. So we need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net when it's crossed in, but can also distribute a little bit. He's our
Yeah,
guy. He was cheap because I mean for a season he had last year, 12 million, 13 million is very cheap, and he gets you goals. He's guaranteed, uh, you know, 10, 15 goals a
yeah,
season. He has done it in multiple different leagues for the past 8 years or so. And then I say, okay, that's fair
yeah.
enough.
No,
That's a decision. That's a tactical decision. We'll take it. But the whole trying to go for Xerxes, we got a little bit unlucky with that, of course. I kind of appreciate our management and Ibra deciding not to pay commissions when we were trying to trigger the clause. That doesn't make sense. That's a commission problem in football. But it was the same with the
yeah,
manager. I don't mind if you say, hey, look, Fonseca, looks very good. He was looked at by bigger clubs than us. Well, bigger clubs, by clubs that are doing much better than us, like Liverpool, because he played such good football at Lille. And you say, hey, this is the football we want to play, we go for him. I don't mind that at all. But if we first go for Lopetegui and then the fans revolt and then you turn, it makes me a little bit worried that you don't have such a plan. Emerson
Yeah, no,
Royal,
you're
yeah,
right.
the voices that we've heard is that Fonseca asked for him specifically. We'll see. I don't think anyone's excited. He is still young. He's 24, 25. I don't think you can judge a player so early. He's also clearly a player that, can do well in a system that works well. He's not going to be the player like Theo Hernandez that keeps the teams afloat and lights up a game by himself. Clearly not. But in a system that works, I think he can do well. Now, of course, it remains to be seen if he's better than Calabria. Calabria did not have a stellar first game. We'll talk about it in a second. But we'll see. At least it's another option, especially now that Kalulu went. We'll talk about that in a second as well.
Yeah,
Shout out Swiss Ovi, by the way, saying that Morata will score plenty of goals. Agreed. And thanks for Emerson Royal from our Tottenham brethrens. And Pavlovic, I'm not a Pavlovic expert. I have not watched him play more than the times I've seen him in Champions League. But it's a left-footed center back, which we needed, a big presence, which we also probably needed. And we'll see.
he's a big fella. He looks like a big fella.
Yeah, absolutely. To wrap up, maybe
Yeah,
the transfer window, obviously Fofana came in. He just got presented to the fans in Milan. I wonder how quickly he will get thrown into the fire. It's such an important position for us and such a difficult position. I wish we would have closed this deal earlier. It's like, a center mid, CDM really needs time, especially with a new manager. But we saw last weekend how badly we need someone who can help out in the middle, especially defensively. So we'll see. We'll see if we
yeah.
see some
I
of
think
him
I
in
think
Parma. Go for
I
it.
think Fonseca was sort of explaining why we went and got Fofana, and he was essentially explaining that yes, we need someone that's perhaps a deeper, more defensive midfielder, but he was hoping that Fofana could probably uh, adjust his game a little bit to perhaps be a bit more defensive. But again, like you said, that midfield needs working, even though we do have a lot of players in that position. But again, we I think we desperately needed a centre mid at least to inject sort of those legs again that Benacer doesn't really have anymore, I don't think. And well, yeah, Reinders definitely does. But again, we're gonna be deep into the season with injuries, as we've already experienced our first injury. Fantastic. But yeah, I think that's gonna be a good addition. I mean, you're not picked in Deschamps' squad for the Euros for nothing, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and he's played very well. So high hopes for him. Hopefully not in vain. It's a position that we need badly. It looks like we're closing in on mostly players leaving. So we have had Kalulu leave, which hurts a little bit. I mean, it makes sense from how much we bought him. It sucks to competition for me, to Juve especially. And I'm not sure that I would rather have Emerson Royal or Calabria rather than Kalulu playing on the right. And I'm not so sure, especially after last weekend, that I'd rather have Chao as a backup center back than Kalulu.
Yeah.
But
I think it would have been better to have kept Kalulu and then gone Emerson Royal, but Calabria I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon. That guy probably has some dirt on our management somehow. The fact that he's staying on, but yeah,
yeah, I mean, yeah, our captain and one of the few Italian players, so that usually helps with the list as well. But yeah, he goes. It's looking like Pobega could be going to Bologna anytime now. We've also sold, of course, some players earlier in the session. It looks like we're trying to offload Adli as well, which is a bit of a shame, just because he's just been such a positive impact on the team. He doesn't really have a position in the type of football that we play now, unless somebody plays him a cam, which I would love to see, but he's a little bit too soft and not good defensively to play CDM with the two CDMs system. So he's looking to go. If they go, there's talks that we could try for Cornet, which would be lovely for me. Other than that, we're looking after a 18-year-old from Ajax, Vos, who I know nothing about. I mean, I've
No,
never
I
seen him
literally
play.
had to. I looked him up on Transfermarkt today, and
Yes,
yeah, yeah, stats aren't. I mean, great, but he's also 18, 19, so can't really blame him for not having those stats in an Ajax team. That is, you're always going to have competition as teenagers, right?
yeah, yeah. He played so little, but the
Yeah,
rumor is that he would play obviously between the first team and Milan Futuro.
yeah.
So to be seen. Um, yeah, it would be. I don't think we have the money for anyone else. Uh, if we do, I think another midfielder would help a lot. But yeah, remains to be seen. A lot of people think that maybe we should go for a striker. That does not seem to be the option after, as you hinted at, Morata's injury. Um, Maybe we'll talk about more who should sub Morata after we look for Parma. But all these transfers to talk about. Um, Last game, quickly, just checking the chat. Swiss Ovi does Fofana coming in, give Musa fewer chances. Um, I mean,
I think
not.
both yes. I kind of think yes and no. I think Musa and Fonseca have gotten off on a great start. It seems like Fonseca was speaking positive about him, and Musa back. Giving him that confidence and really trying to hand coach him, if that makes sense, and trying to make Musa a better player rather than trying to make him fit our system too much. But I think ultimately would be Fofana is, I think, coming in to look to be a starting 11 player, sort of not the first on our team sheet, but almost there. It's between Benacer, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and Musa really to be added to that midfield with Reinders and Fofana, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think it changes too much in terms of. I agree in terms of. I don't think Musa was ever looking to break into the starting 11. It was always going to be now Fofana and Reinders. I think Reinders isn't, and I agree with that choice if that's the case. Should never be moved from the starting 11. I think it's just that good. Um, with Benacer and probably Musa, because I think even though Ruben Loftus-Cheek started as a CDM simply because Reinders didn't have the minutes in him, we didn't have
Yeah,
Fofana, and so we needed another midfielder. From what we've seen in training and preseason, it looks like Ruben Loftus-Cheek will be used as a cam, as a number 10 to be the Pulisic sub, since we will play with the three behind the striker. Um, so Musa was always going to be the just another midfielder. It does obviously bring another player in, so it does put him down in the pecking order. But we're also trying to sell Adli. We're trying to sell Pobega. Um, so I think is there. I'm not convinced that Musa is a CDM. I like him. He needs to stop shooting, but we'll get that when
oh,
we talk about the
Christ
game.
Almighty! I was
I like him a lot.
shouting at my
I
TV.
like the intensity he brings. I like his crossing a lot. In our system right now, the 4-2-3-1 is kind of difficult because he's not a right winger in my mind. Like he just, even though he has the pace and some decent dribbling, just not his position. He's not really a cam, but he's not really a CDM either. He's not disciplined enough. He's going back. He's got a little bit of a problem. I would love to see him in like a 4-3-3 as one of the CMs there. I think that's his best position. Unfortunately, that's not how we play. Um, but we'll see. But we're talking about this game a lot without actually getting into it. Let's do it. We started off the season with an unfortunate 2-2. We were just talking about before we went live how it's kind of tricky because we could have won that game easily by 1 or 2 goals early on. Wouldn't have been a problem. So it feels like we really lost points. But also the true fact of the matter is that in the 89th minute we were down 2-0 and it looked like a sure loss. What do you take away from that
It did.
game? Just tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm trying to make, I guess, excuses. It is Fonseca, new manager after having Pioli for, was it almost 5 years? So, and a lot of these players have had multiple seasons under Pioli. No Theo Hernandez, no Reinders, and obviously no starting Morata. That's three probably given starting 11 players. However, again, a bit all over the place defensively. Chow had a terrible game. Ronaldo had a terrible game.
Oh, it looks like we lost.
Game. Sort of, I would
Hold on,
almost
Ozzy.
put
I
both
think
up,
you're
but
coming
again, we
back just
managed
now.
to crawl back to two.
We lost you there for a
Oh,
second.
there
Go
we go.
for
Yeah,
it again. We
I'm
were
not sure
just talking
where.
about the players that were missing before we lost you. Go for it.
Yeah, so yeah, the three missing players with Theo, Reinders, and Morata. Well, missing. They came on obviously, but Selemaker's a left back. You can see by I hate going by the player ratings, but he seems to have he played well. Out of position again. Chow had a shocker. It seemed all over the place, so a bit upset. But again, we've somehow managed to get a point. I think Torino are quite upset for getting those 2 points taken away from them.
Yeah, I think Torino played well. I don't think it was necessarily, I think we played more poorly than they played well. But I think a lot of people were discounting them because they lost their manager. They lost Buongiorno, which is the best center back in the league last year. Didn't add a lot of firepower. But I thought they played well. Obviously, they played like you'd expect them to play, nice and defensively, wait for us to come up and then counter. But a few of their counters were quite solid, like the one on the occasion of the goal. Yeah, Salemaker as a left back was really poor. I can sort of see the thinking of Fonseca. He just likes him a lot of. I like him too. He's a very a player that fights hard, that can play many different positions. However, this is a right mid. Let's not throw him at left back
Yeah,
right
no, so
now.
it's not his fault.
He didn't even play badly, like individually. He was just a lot of times out of position or letting players go behind him because he's not a left back. And so he struggled a little bit. But definitely the worst player on the pitch for us was Malik Chow, who had just a nightmare. I mean, the two goals
Yeah.
are awful. Obviously, the own goal where the ball wasn't even going in and he puts it in is bad. I think the second goal is potentially even worse than that because he's just marking Zapata and Zapata doesn't even feint
Yeah,
him
he
out.
gets.
He just kind of half walks and Chow just leaves. And on top of that, just a shocker of a game. I hope. I mean, we saw Malik Chow play well throughout his Milan stint. I know that he's not the player that he played, that he was during the Torino game. I hope in a system that I'm hoping Fonseca is trying to lead to eventually, he can shine where he doesn't have to play the whole pitch and he doesn't have to run, and he can be a little bit more disciplined. He will shine. However, that was really quite worrying. It makes you think, maybe we should have let him go when we got a couple offers from Newcastle and so on, and
Yeah, it
kept
seemed. I
Kalulu.
mean, it was always only rumor, but it was upwards 40 million euros or something. I don't know if that's even remotely true, but
Yeah, the
would
exact
have
digits are
taken that.
always tough, but I think we could have gotten,
Uh,
20, 30, maybe 40 million, based on the rumors, and that makes
yeah,
you wonder a little bit. Now, of course, it's one game. Let's relax. I thought we created decently well going forward, which wasn't really our problem. We shot a lot. We had a lot of good chances. I mean, Leao could have put away one or two. Pulisic, which no one criticizes. Everyone jumps on Leao because of his body language and because he's not our best player. But he could have put away two goals at least easily as well.
oh,
Um,
absolutely, yeah.
and if those goes in, we're talking about 3-1, easy going, not much to it. I'm a little bit worried defensively. We've changed our system a little bit. I hope the case is the case that the players are slowly building up to it, and so is Fonseca, because it's tough to just change how you play and how you defend. And I hope that you're right. Of course, what I think will be the Fonseca's ideal starting lineup will be Teo, Pavlovic, Tomori, Emerson Royal, meaning three different defenders out of the four that we saw, and a CDM duo of Reinders and Fofana, so completely new CDMs too. I'm hoping that will help fix it. I'm hoping that we will change how we play a little bit, and we don't invite so much pressure. But that remains to be seen. Give me a little bit of your thoughts about Leao, because I think we will disagree on this. What do you think of his first game?
Oh, I think we're sort of I'm preaching to the choir here. it's been the same things for the past, let's say, 3 seasons since our Scudetto season, where he does incredible things on the pitch. He creates chances all by himself, and Pulisic, probably being the only other player, can do that. That's been for us the story the last season, and he gets to these incredible positions. I like him a lot. I don't think necessarily we should try to get rid of him, depending on if it's 175 million euros. But again, he's gone to that age now where he's on the brink of becoming a world class player, and he's just not taking that step. At least it's one game, right? And I can't say I studied him a lot for Portugal, but it seems that finishing is still not there, and it's that final push, sort of the last 15-20%. He needs to become that complete player that we've always been waiting sort of to flourish. He gets better in dribbling, and he's somehow keeps up with that pace, runs a lot, but it's those last 15-20% that we need in the finishing.
Yeah, I think I like the game that Leo played. Honestly, I saw him a lot more aggressive. I think I mean, last year was also difficult. We were creating so little, but even in the first half, I think he took 4 or 5 shots. We had several games last year where he just didn't even attempt a shot. So I'm all for that. I think we were able to create space for him enough to be dangerous. Should he have put away 1-2 goals? For sure, of course.
Yeah.
I won't deny that. That beautiful pass off Loftus-Cheek that puts him on goal. I will give, and maybe I'm just a Leao stan here, but he sprints and the whole half, a little bit more of the pitch, arrives in front of goal, and he's beat. And look, he needs to put that in the corner and slots it in for sure. But I think he's absolutely tired. He actually had a defender hanging off of him at the very end too, so he needs to shrug him off. And credit to the goalkeeper, stays up until the very last second, and he actually dives to the side, to his left, right before Leao takes a shot. So he takes a little bit of a gamble, knowing, hey, he's probably going here. So should he put that away?
I think
Course,
maybe
100%. But it's not as
he
easy
should.
as it was, as it looked.
Yeah, no, but again, that's why he, if he starts finishing those chances, he becomes world class, properly world class.
Yeah.
And we've given him time, and it's not. This is, I guess, what's wrong with social media. I'm not saying that we should sell him or that he's rubbish, right? It's just, if he's gonna be that player for us and we've given him time, he needs to take that extra step. And yeah, it's the first game. Maybe it gets better. Like you said, he does a lot of sprints, but he's also one of the only players in our team that can create chances all by himself.
Yeah, he's just able to change the game by himself, and so we live and
Yeah.
die by him. I thought Jovic played poorly. Morata coming in, looking back, obviously cursed. We now know that he wasn't 100%, and the playing didn't help. He will be out for about 20 days. Is looking definitely like he will miss Parma. Will most very likely miss Lazio, and at this point, hopefully, won't go into the Spanish national team for the Nations League break that we will get after the Lazio game. But I liked how he came in. A seasoned leader. He came in. He fought. He scored a couple of goals. Probably should have gotten a penalty, although it was a coin toss. Puts a goal away, then fights with their center back to get the ball back. Just I don't know, the level of intensity that I was looking for. I loved his words after the game when the journalist asked him, "Hey, okay, are we leading up to this? Maybe there's also a physical condition that's missing from Milan," and he took no excuse. He was like, no, the physical condition is fine. What we need is the next mental step. We need to realize that if we want to win titles and trophies, we need to be tougher. We need to foul more. We need to be more aggressive, which is 100% correct. So I loved how Alvaro came in. And I loved also how Randers came in. Now, it's difficult to judge compared to Benacer and the others, because he came in at a point where Torino was falling back and we could really go forward. But man, he just moves the ball so much better, I think, than most of our midfielders. I love how he came in. I'm excited to see him start. I'm excited to see our full starting lineup starting to take shape from the Parma game and on. with the Morata injury, now that we're talking about it, who do you think should replace Alvaro? We put this poll up on our Instagram stories for our viewers to vote. The options were Jovic, Okafor, Camarda, who scored 2 goals in his Milan Futuro debut against Novara, or by a new striker. Now, obviously, the results were a little bit skewed, recency bias, a little bit, of course, because Okafor, as we'll get to him, scored the at the dying minutes to tie the game. So he won the votes with 50%. He had 50% of votes, 212. Camarda had 122 votes, so that's 29%. By a new striker is 12%, and Jovic, who I guess had a terrible game, so he was never going to get a lot of votes, got 9% of the votes. By the way, all 3 players actually saw our story, visualized our story. None of them voted,
Ooh.
probably smartly,
Did they?
PR move, for
Smart
each
PR
other
move.
or
But
for themselves.
I would also like to add a fifth option that has just popped up in our chat from 69 Nishan 420, Origi. But that's
Cannot wait
the
for him to
banter is
leave.
flowing in
My
the chat.
God, him
The
and
banter is
Balotelli,
flowing in the
the,
chat.
the the two absolute nightmares of Maldini that are left over. And Origi now maybe wants to go to MLS, and so he might wait until January.
Yeah.
Balotelli, actually, his team get one him. Saint Etienne went after him. Fulham went after him, but nobody wants to pay stupid wages. I can't wait for that nightmare to be over.
I don't
But
blame them.
who do you
Yeah,
think
but so
should
and
play
to answer your
striker?
question, I mean, who I personally think, and I hope, but I know he won't. It's gonna be Okafor. Yeah, I don't know. Something must be wrong with him in training. Is he seems like such a nice guy. I don't know. He just never gets the minutes.
Yeah, I wonder. He also didn't play
Did
for
he
the
got
Swiss
zero?
national team at all, and their team was good, but not that stacked for him to not even come off the bench. So I do wonder,
Yeah, there's
maybe it is
something
how he
a bit
trains.
funky. Yeah, yeah, and I know we kind of signed him to be a Liao substitute, and he probably does play better out on the wing. But I think just give him the chance. He has some ridiculous sort of, I think he's 6 or 7 goals now that have come in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. I think Okafor should start.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I do think that in the way we play now, his ideal position is either on the left for a Leao sub, or actually at that 10 position behind the striker. I feel like he can struggle the way he moves and also his size to sort of hold up the main striker position by himself. But as a second striker, like he was playing at the end of the game, to cut in and insert himself in the empty spaces in the box is his best position. But of course, beggars can be choosers. Right now, we need someone to fill up top. I don't think Jovic is as bad as an option everyone says. He had a nightmare game. We weren't creating a lot for him. Is he going to be the star of our team? No, of course not. He's not designed to be. He's designed to fill in some minutes here and there. But yeah, I just want to see more of Okafor. So if it means playing out of position to give him a chance, I'm all for it. There are rumors that, of course, in training, Fonseca tries everything. He did try Leao up top. Interesting,
No,
but we need him to be more involved than less involved. And our strikers in this game, but also last season, are the ones that are least involved because teams fall back
yeah.
so deeply. So I don't think that would be the way to go. Do you think Camarda is going to get called up at all in the Parma game? Do you want him to be called up as an option off the bench?
I mean, I think he's sort of done his debut back in the Coppa Italia last season. I think let him kind of be for now at least. Let him get into sort of the Milan Futuro team. Let him develop there a bit longer before trying to throw him into being on the bench, etc. There's not necessarily any need for him right now, purely because, like you said, we have Jovic, we have Okafor. You can throw in Leao there maybe. So for the time being, I think let him be at Milan Futuro, let him develop there, and then let's see when injuries really pile up and or something just isn't working. Jovic has been cold for months. Morata is just logging in way too many minutes, as we always know. Our center, well, our number seven, but our starting strikers always tend to do the last few seasons, logging way too many minutes. Um, so let's just wait a bit before calling up Kamada because I don't think he's gonna be even subbed in.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think for the most part he should be with us. He should be in Serie C with Milan Futuro playing against other grown men, but actually starting and playing full minutes. I do think
Yeah,
that specifically for the Parma game, taking him wouldn't hurt. I don't think throwing a 16-year-old to just like play with us regularly is the way to go. Although I do think that Italy can be quite bad in that. We see in Spain
yeah.
and other leagues that do give him a chance to, uh, your Yamals. Am I saying Camarda Yamal? No, is Yamal? Of course not. Yamal is a generational talent. Camarda has the chance to be in the potential, but is yet to be seen. So in a team that lacks a proper striker, bring him on and then just see for this one game. Could be interesting. Maybe it is one
Yeah.
of those aura sort of bringing
Oh,
in
please don't start using Aura.
like Bellingham or
God
Haaland, where
damn
they
it.
just come in and he just feels like it's meant to be and he scores the winner. Um, but it'll be interesting. Regarding the last option, buying a new striker, Ibra did mention that they're happy. Morata does not have a big injury history, actually, but of course we are cursed. I'm sure that he will miss playing the game. I think he missed about 13 games in the last 4 seasons. So let's hope that these two are the ones that he gets out of the way and then he
Yeah.
plays for the rest of the season. But we will see. And speaking of, as we should probably wrap up soon, the Parma game. Uh, who do you think then will play? How do you think the rest of the squad lines up?
Yeah, obviously, if we're gonna do our we're obviously gonna be playing a 4-2-3-1. Mignon goal. Teo's gonna be back, left back. Hopefully, we see Pavlovic and Tomori, and then Emerson Royale. But again, with Pavlovic and Emerson Royale, they came kind of late in the transfer window. It's not panic. It's not massive panic right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if both Chow and Calabria did start again. I'd preferably not want that to
You
happen.
think Chow would start over
Um,
over Gabia if Pavlovic doesn't
oh,
play?
I've completely forgot. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's a toss up between all three of them. I think Tomori is the only one there that's definitely going to be starting. I think it's going to be a toss up between those three.
Yeah,
Um,
I think.
so maybe it goes Chow and Gabbia is more likely to be between them in a flip of a coin. But then we also have Pavlovic. I'm hoping Pavlovic just to see him. I'd like to see him actually against Parma, which is obviously newly promoted.
Yeah, I mean Tomori is, unless obviously injuries can always happen, as 100% chance of starting. I would say Teo. I would say 90 to 95. I think Pavlovic could start. We saw him play a little bit at least in one preseason friendly, and he's been training a little bit. So I think he has a decent start of starting. Maybe the most likely out of the others to pair up with Tomori. Uh, 60-70% in my
Yeah, I wouldn't
mind.
be upset. Had you asked me a year and a half ago that talking about Gabriel starting, I would have been very upset. After how he finished last season, or rather came back from was it Villarreal
Yeah.
midway through the season, I was very impressed and hope we play him perhaps more than Chow because Gabbia Italian knows Milan very well. Sort of a redemption arc, redemption story because he was I shouldn't say hated by Milan fans, but there were definitely some concerns of having our 20-year-old centre back Gabbia with number 46 starting.
Yeah.
That didn't look good 2 seasons ago.
No,
But
absolutely. I
yeah,
think if it's not Pavlovic, it would be Gabia, unless, which I kind of back. Sometimes managers do this. Uh, Fonseca decides to throw a Chow back out there because you don't want to have him have a shock of our
yeah,
performance and say, "Hey,
yeah,
look, now you're the back of the bench," but back him a little bit. I don't think Emerson
yeah.
Royal. I think it's
That's
still
most
early
likely
for
going to
him.
happen.
Yeah, I think it's a little early for him. I would guess Calabria is still more likely, even though he didn't play that well against Torino. To start. I think it's a shame. Look, Calabria is not the perfect right back. He can make a lot of mistakes. He can also do very well in a system that works. It's really a shame that San Siro booed him. I think
I was very surprised by that.
I I I'm not sure I was. To be honest, there's a lot of hate for Calabria, but look, you can not like his performance on the pitch. You can want him to not start, but that man bleeds Milan. He's always done nothing but fight for us. and give his all. So super lame of our fans to boo him like that. I'm hoping that if he starts again, he can put on a good performance like he can and do well. In midfield, I think Reiner starts almost certainly. Who do you think pairs with him? I think it's still too early for Fofana. I think if I had to guess, it would be Benacer still. But what do you think?
Yeah,
Or who would you
yeah.
play?
I'm gonna have to. I think I would have. Yeah, I think I would play Rangers and Benacer for now because they've played quite a lot together from last season. Fofana way too early to throw him into starting 11. As of now, he'll have had a week of training. Not even that. I don't know how many training sessions since Saturday's game. So
Yeah,
I think
probably
it's
just a
gonna have to
couple.
be Rangers and Benacer.
Yeah, I think that's more likely. I would hope that we dominate the game so hard that we can put Fofana in to get some minutes, but we'll see.
Yep.
And then the striker we just talked about, hopefully Okafor, but if I had to guess, I could see Jovic actually be more likely to start. Do you keep the three the same behind them, Leao, Pulisic, Chukwueze? Do you try to go a little more balanced and put like a Saleh Makers on the right wing? What do you think?
No, I think keep those three. Pulisic didn't have a blinder game, but he was away during the summer and played quite a lot. Obviously, Captain America, as he is. Liao is, of course, going to start. Between like you were sort of talking about just now, Selemakers or Chukwueze, I think keep Chukwueze for now because it's going to be hopefully a dominating game where Chukwueze might be able to take on the opposition's left back a bit more. But again, I hope Fonseca doesn't go down the purely route and is afraid of substituting early on because Chukwueze can be one. I think Chukwueze is one of those players that if you we notice in the first 20 minutes of the game whether he's going to be involved in the game or not, and then if he's not, obviously not take him off after 20 minutes. That's not what I'm saying, but he's one of those easy players to read quite early on in the game, and then maybe not half time, but the around that 55-minute mark, give him one more chance in the second half. But stick with Chukwueze. Don't be afraid to throw in Makers should we need to.
I do agree. He's definitely a momentum player. You can kind of see in either direction once things starts going poorly or there's a couple things. Um, he will start, throwing his hands up. I saw him and Lau going a little bit at it while Pulisic was telling him, hey, fall back in position, just keep doing your job. And sometimes you see him, the first couple dribbles go, he gets a pana, he gets past up a few players, and then he's lighting the game on fire. So, yeah, totally
Yeah.
agree with you there. And let's hope. We got off to a slow start. So did everyone else. Napoli got demolished as we get ready to close. Got demolished. Looking like a long season for them as they now, I'm
Yeah.
sure, will try to wrap up a few transfers. Inter with a
Uh,
late,
Conte seems done already. Oh my god.
yeah, classic
I mean,
Conte
I
press
can't say I
conference.
expect. I can't say I was expecting anything else, but that man is out for blood already, and it's one game in.
Yeah, I do hate how he is and how he speaks, but I mean, the squad that they fielded did not look that strong. De Laurentiis continues to be very questionable. They didn't bring him much. Now, of course, once Buongiorno comes in, it'll be a little different. Now the Neres, we'll see what happens with Osimhen, but long season ahead for them. Juve look good. There's a lot of question marks about the transfer window. People were doubting it, but Motta is a good manager. I think they will do well. They get off to a hot start.
It
Inter,
was
not so much.
it was strange. It
Go for it.
was it was strange seeing Motta with the suit on. In a way, I don't know. Maybe he's not. I can't say I watch every Bologna game, but he was either track pants or
Yeah, the
that's sort of
tracksuit.
that purely look. It was very
Yeah, the
yeah. It was very
tracksuit.
strange
Yeah,
seeing
I
him
guess
in
he's
a
trying to live up to the big seat.
yeah.
Inter
They
also,
love a lanky manager. They
yeah,
love a
he's
lanky
very skinny,
manager.
90. Yeah, underrated player
Yeah,
as well. Um,
very much.
Inter also off to a pretty slow start with our boy Junior Messias coming in the last second, missing a penalty, but then putting it away to tie. Massive
Yeah,
for us because, of course, that means we don't fall behind too many players, too many teams. Roma also with a draw looking particularly inspired. We also got the news today that Dybala's on the way out. He's going to earn a boatload of money in Saudi, unfortunately. Um,
yeah. I think, I mean, obviously Dybala played for Juve for so long and then Roma, but it's such a shame. He seems like he's that kind of dying breed of a player, that sort of number 10 who has an
Yeah,
incredible touch,
yeah, I love
and
him.
could
I
create
love how
things
he
out of
plays football.
nowhere.
He can stay healthy,
Yeah,
but
it's
what
a
a
dying
player.
breed. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the main issue. But it's a shame to see his career kind of fizzle out as it has. And now he's won a boatload with Juve, but I we could probably be put into that Juve team in those 9 consecutive years of winning, and we would be Serie A champions
Yeah, for sure.
for
And
sure.
and those a bit. Atalanta started off very well, even though they've struggled with some injuries and then players sitting out like Kob Miner and Lukman. But they seem after the races. It's gonna be an interesting season. It could be very dangerous for us. It could be, hey, we hit the ground running, we go on a win streak, and we could be going for the title, or it could be a fight to the death for a top 4 position because I don't, Juve and Inter will be there. Atalanta will be in the fight. Roma, we'll see if they don't have a deep team at all, but if their brand new striker gets going, they could be there. Lazio, they won, they looked okay, but I'm not sure they'll be all the way there. But it could be interesting. We'll know more, of course, after this weekend of football.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like to be quite open. I mean, not just because of this one game of the first game of the season, but it seems quite open. A lot of teams, Milan and Napoli have new managers, a new kind of look. Inter, are they going to be the same Inter of last season? Those 2 goals they conceded were very uncharacteristic of them to let them in. Juve new manager, of course, as well. Sorry, Atalanta seem to are sort of selling, but then also replacing players quite well. So I'm excited for this Serie A season. It's probably the most open league right now in terms of top 6, let's say, even more than the Premier League.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think the Premier League this season could be interesting top 6, but I think there's clearly 2 candidates for just winning the league. And
Yeah.
I don't know, in Serie A you could see a lot. I mean, obviously Inter is favorited, but I think there's a few teams that could really win it. We'll talk again after the Parma game. Prediction, as always, exact score.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for 2-0. I think we're gonna sort out our defensive troubles of last game, and we're gonna have quite a solid game. So 2-0 for Milan.
Yes, a clean sheet would be huge for us. Parma, they played Fiorentina and they did 1-1. Um, yeah. Let's say just 1-0 for me. I'll also go clean sheet. I think Rafael gets on the score and gets his season started. And then maybe we score early, and then maybe Salamancas comes in and we make a point out of really trying not to concede. We'll go with that.
Yeah,
Thank you for this 15 minutes, Ozzy. Thank you for everyone listening.
it was nice
And
to be back.
yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you after the Parma game.